After getting really excited about Uncharted 2, my expectations were set really high for the third game. When I finally got to play it, it really blew me away. From the story to the intense action scenes, this game was easily one of my favorite games of 2011, along with Infamous 2 and Skyrim, of course. I get a little upset when some people tell me how much of a letdown it was for them. It was never called a bad game, far from it. There were just times when it didn't feel like a step up from Uncharted 2. In my opinion, is it better than 2? Well, that's debatable, but I can understand some criticisms and appreciate everything it did right. The story begins with Nate and Sully in London, portrayed rather stereotypically I might add, where they attempt to sell Sir Francis's ring to a man named Talbot, voiced by Robin Atkin Downes, for a large sum of money. But, after the money turns out to be counterfeit, a big fight breaks out and the two are confronted by Catherine Marlowe, an old business partner of Sully's, voiced expertly by Rosalind Ayres, who is a really fun character. She has this villainous and cunning charm, but what makes her so intimidating is her intelligence, and the personal connection that she had with the main characters. So one of Marlowe's henchmen, Charlie Cutter, voiced by Graham McTavish, apparently shoots both Nate and Sully, resulting in a flashback. So we see Nate's teenage years from when he was living on the streets of Colombia, and we get to see how he met Sully and the partnership they have. It's fun and believable, but I kinda wish Nate's past was given a little bit more context, because the game raises a few questions that wouldn't be answered until Uncharted 4, which was released 5 years later. Anyways, Cutter turns out to be a good guy, and as they meet up with Chloe again, Nate and the others are off to investigate the mysterious voyage of Sir Francis Drake, who was at sea for a long time and apparently found something so big that he had to cover up the evidence of his discovery from the Queen. This massive discovery was a lost city in the Middle East known as the Atlantis of the Sands, or Irama the Pillars, whatever. This takes them to several beautiful locations, all the while delving into a deep story about Drake's past and how his actions have defined him. The writing is very strong. While I kinda wish there were more humorous moments, I still appreciated the touching personal moments as well. The characters are all over the place. Nate and Sully both get great development when we explore their history, but when Elena returns, we're kind of forced into knowing about a previous marriage or engagement she had with Nate, but it's never addressed. Charlie is also a fun and detailed character, and is quick to make a witty remark every now and then.
Quod est superius.
Est sicut quod est inferius. As above, so below.
That's the key to all of this.
We need to get to the highest point of this castle.
Thus, the stairs.
I friggin' love that line. Chloe returns, but her personality is much drier, as she is more serious and never suggestive like last time. I can understand the reasoning, but that's honestly what made her so entertaining. Like I said, Marlowe is great, but Talbot is kind of forgettable at times. The final boss battle with him just makes him feel like a beefed-up enemy, but it's not nearly as bad as Navarro. There are even some characters that just appear for a bit that get no development or very little screen time. There's this Arabic pirate named Ramses who you have to fight, and this takes Nate on board a large cruise ship, which by the way was an amazing gameplay segment, but after you defeat him, he's forgotten about just as quickly as he was introduced. There's also another guy named Salim who helps out for a few missions, and I was really hoping he would have a lot of involvement like Tenzin did, but he's also quickly forgotten about. That's a big problem. There are so many characters that just appear and then simply vanish before we're given a chance to know them. The gameplay, on the other hand, is a huge upgrade over Uncharted 2. The gunplay is pretty much the same, but now you also have a lot of melee advantages, such as the ability to automatically take enemy weapons after a successful KO, and the ability to use environmental objects to hit enemies, which is useful when fighting up to 5 of them at once. You can also grab enemy grenades and throw them back, which is awesome, but why did this mechanic not return in later games? The climbing is flowing and very cinematic, and the environments that you explore are very beautiful and detailed. The textures on the fire, and especially the sand, are incredible. Well, sometimes the sand looks a little weird up close, but the particle effects are very believable. One thing that I also noticed is that while in Uncharted 2, the entirety of the game had bursts of action constantly, this game simply has a handful of serious moments, while every now and then throws in a large cinematic action set piece, and these are huge. They are very welcome, and take the tension to the extreme. My favorite scene has to be when Nate and Sully are inside a French mansion, and once the enemies set fire to it, it intensifies very quickly with several close calls and falling platforms leading into a massive blaze below. When I saw that for the first time, I literally shouted, "Whoa!" The puzzles are still a lot of fun, and some of them were actually kind of challenging, requiring some actual brain power to solve. While I still think Uncharted 2 has better characters, I would say that Uncharted 3 has stronger story writing overall. All three games still strongly hold up today, so if you still haven't played them, I would suggest that you check them out, or maybe pick up the PS4 Nathan Drake collection, since all three games have great updates that make them better. So, dive in and enjoy the ride.
Is somebody gonna fill me in here? Who are those guys? And what does Charlie have to do with all this?
He was working with us on this one.
Wait, what was? He's not dead.
No.
Him and Chloe.
Wait, Chloe too?
Yeah, but they both bowed out when Cutter broke his leg.
He broke his leg?
Just like he didn't break his damn neck or fall like that.
He's fine.
Just between that and burning to death, I think I would have jumped too.
Not helping.
All right, just tell me what you're really looking for.
This? Come here. Sully, check this out.
I think we lost him. What do you got?
It looks like we stumbled right into our secret entrance.
Well, that's our girl. Well, not going down there without some hardware.
Go talk to that rug merchant we just passed.
Well, guns, weapons.
He's not really a rug merchant.
Oh, right.
Hey, just watch yourself out there, okay?